Okay guys, can somebody please clear this up for me? What makes an authentic item authentic and what makes a replica a fake? If you've got a clear answer, give it to me in the comment section down below. Okay, so I went hunting down for the definition of replica. I even dug out my old school Webster's dictionary. Now, Webster's dictionary defines a replica as a copy or close reproduction. Now, fakes, this concept's not new. It's been around for decades, even centuries. Got fake jewels, fake artworks. Heck, we even have fake medications. But what is new or newer is this explosive rise of people shopping for fake designer handbags, super fake designer handbags, so closely resembling the authentic that sometimes you can't even tell unless you have a microscope. Now, why is all this spending on fake handbags on the rise? So they did a survey on young people, Gen Z, in the EU, and this is what they found. 37% of 15 to 24-year-olds had purchased at least one fake in the last year. So whether it's accessories, footwear, electronics, cosmetics, this went up 14% from 2019. Now this is really interesting. There was also a 6% jump in young shoppers who said they were influenced to make such a purchase. Now, I think this just goes to show how much fake bags are shown on social media. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If you just search bougie on a budget on YouTube, you'll see all the unboxings and all the collections of these replica handbags, and you'll see how popular this topic really is and how many people in the comment section give me the seller's details, give me the seller's details. Now, why all this spending on fake bags? So back to the survey, they found that 48% said they bought replicas because of price. 27% said they didn't really give a damn about the product being a fake. Now, this part is also very interesting. 24% of them said they didn't really see any material difference between the genuine item and the fake item. And I think this is a really important point for consumers as well. And we'll get more into this a bit later. So what does all this fake buying mean for people like me and you who are luxury handbag lovers? Well, I can see this impacting us, me and you, in at least 3 different ways. So firstly, increase in number of victims of fraud. So people being sold fakes under the guise of being sold an authentic. Actually, it's not even just people like me and you. Even stores are being tricked into this. There was a very clever woman from Virginia, USA, who had this whole scheme going in 2016. Okay, so she would go to these high-end department stores, even Neiman Marcus. She would go and get those authentic bags. She'd buy them, get the receipt. Then she'd go home, then she'd swap them out. She'd swap them out for a fake, a replica, which she obviously bought for a much lower price. And then later on, she'd go back to the store, to the unsuspecting staff there, and get a refund. A refund using the fake item. And it passed. They gave her the refund. They took the fake bag and gave her the refund. She still had the real bag at home. And she did this again and again and again. And she did this so many times that she was able to get a profit to the tune of
$1 million.
She was eventually caught and brought down by Homeland Security, but that's how elaborate her scheme was. They needed Homeland Security to bring down this one woman. Now, I myself have been a victim of this type of fraud, and I'm sure a couple of you out there can say the same as me. And if you do have a story to share about this, put it in the comment section below so I can read it too. So my story is, back in 2019, I was hunting down on eBay a vintage Louis Vuitton pochette accessoires. I just really wanted one at that time. I had gotten one for my sister, that was genuine, and I wanted one for me too. But I was so price driven at that time, and that's where I made the mistake. So what I was hunting for was an authentic item. It wasn't a replica item, but I was just so price driven that when I came across a listing at a price that I really liked, and it was under 250 Australian dollars at that time, which, as you vintage LV lovers know, is 1, a really good deal, and 2, a deal you're never going to get again in this day and age. I was so price driven that I ignored the red flags on the listing. Guys, there was really no pictures available for authentication. It was missing a lot of the important pictures. Like there was blurry photos for all these important things like the heat stamp. There was no date code showing. The hardware, blurry photos. But I was so price driven, I ignored those red flags and I bought the bag anyway. Then when I got the bag in my hands, I didn't even inspect it properly. I did quickly take photos of myself and send it to pro authenticators. And what do you know? Reply, not authentic. Oh, could have kicked myself. I was stupid. I broke all my own shopping rules because I was so price driven. Anyways, so what happened was, went to the seller, excuse me, this product is not authentic, I've had it authenticated, I'd like to send it back for a refund. The seller said, no, it's definitely authentic, look, we can work something out. I could not for the life of me get the seller to take the item back, so I did have to get eBay to intervene on my behalf. So eBay did help me to get a returns label. So I sent the item back to the seller, which was the instructions that eBay gave me, and after the seller got the bag, they still wouldn't give me the refund. They ended up ghosting me. So now they had my money and they had the bag. What the heck? So I got eBay to intervene for me one more time. And once they saw the tracking details was delivered to the seller, they sent my money back to me. So a lot of lessons were learnt in that terrible interaction. But luckily, it was only time lost and not money. But I did gain some wisdom. Now, there are a lot of people who shop at The RealReal who have their own stories. The RealReal have been in the spotlight lately for a lot of authentication mishaps. So much so that even a former employee has come out and allegedly said that they knowingly sold and authenticated fake items. So whether you're an individual or a store, you can become a victim. And if these super fakes are really good that no one can tell, how many of us unsuspecting victims are there out in the world? Could be countless. Could be people who don't even know that what they think is authentic on their shoulder is actually a fake. Okay, now point number 2. So this is another way the rise of super fakes can impact both me and you. Now I want you to chime in the comment section down below and tell me if you think this is a good thing or a bad thing, okay? So increased or perceived increase ease of accessibility to an exclusive item. Now let's set the stage here. I want you to envision this scene with me. Now you know this scene. The one from Pretty Woman where Julia Roberts is still in her before state, her streetwalker clothes, and she's trying to go on a shopping spree. So she walks into the store, money ready to spend on the card, and the sales associates just look at her up and down and scan her, and their facial expressions display a mix of shock and disgust. And they just say to her,
"It's very expensive."
It's very expensive. Look, I got money to spend in here. I don't think we have anything for you. You're obviously in the wrong place. Please leave.
Now this is just the type of you can't sit with us exclusivity that these luxury fashion houses embody. Birkins, Kellys, heck, even a Classic Flaps, they're priced at a certain point so that the average or below average socioeconomic groups can't afford them. They're not meant to be bought by everyone. Same as a Ferrari. A Ferrari is not meant to be bought by everyone. Same deal there. Heck, even some people with the money ready to go, ready to spend, can't get their SA to sell the bag to them. And actually, Person Fleek made a video about how things took a turn for the worse between her and the management at the Sydney Hermes store, and this pretty much ended her buying relationship there. In the end, she never got the bag she wanted, but she did have the money ready to go. So people who either can't afford the bag that they covet, or they can afford the bag that they covet but can't seem to get the store to sell it to them, after a while they may get fed up and start looking for other avenues to scratch that itch of their desire. And this is where super fakes give them that ease of accessibility or increased ease of accessibility. Now I say perceived increase because it's not that actual item but a replica. Now I'm not saying that these replicas are going to fulfill that itch or make them happy, but they may seek other avenues to try to get what they want, and this is where super fakes can fill a void for them. Now, impact number 3 on people like me and you is that the popularity of super fakes is actually exposing the exorbitant premiums luxury fashion houses price into the price of their handbags. Like, we all know that a 10K Chanel flap does not cost 10K to make. We know that they do have to make a profit. No one's hating on that. Businesses need to make profits to stay alive, or else they're not going to be there. We know they have to cover the cost of materials, labor, supply chain, whatever other overheads are involved, and then have enough for their profits. But what I think we don't realize is how juicy their profits are. Now, a lot of you out there know about Tanner Leatherstone. He is a leather expert, and he either buys or gets sent authentic bags, and he tears them apart and deconstructs them. And then he tests the leather quality, and he exposes what he believes to be his estimate of the true material and labor cost prices of what it would take to make the bag as compared to their retail price. And this is where we get to see the huge gap in labor materials versus retail price, and how much potentially is the profit. And the profit is a lot more than their costs, that's for sure. Now, just to demonstrate how juicy the profits are for these fashion houses, the owner of LVMH, Bernard Arnault, he's often at times the world's richest person. And in fact, LVMH on their own website had put up an article about how 2022 was a record year for them. Now, this goes back to the point listed in the survey as to why these young people are choosing to buy replicas. 24% of them said they didn't really see a material difference between the replica and the authentic. Now, purchasers have to make sense. So they're not seeing a material difference. It's not going to make sense to them to spend on a premium if the material difference is nil. So these super fakes give people an outlet to get basically the same material and same look of a bag without having to pay these premiums where the profits are used to just stuff the wallets of people like Bernard Arnault, who is already the world's richest man. Now, tell me if you feel the same way, because lots of shoppers of authentic bags, people who go into the stores and buy these bags brand new, are increasingly expressing disappointment that prices keep rising and quality of their luxury bags keeps going down. They're getting frustrated. They're paying more at each price increase, and they're becoming increasingly dissatisfied with the quality of their bag. They're not even saying, I'm paying more for the same. They're feeling like they're paying more and then getting lesser quality each time. Now, it doesn't even really matter what you feel about fakes. Whatever the product is, if you keep paying more for something and keep getting a lesser item, after a while, the purchase is simply not going to make sense. Whether it's a fake bag or a toilet cleaner or whatever daily essential, everyone has their own perceived value for money, and they have their own threshold as to when a purchase makes sense and when a purchase doesn't make sense. Whether or not you can afford something to do a purchase, it has to make sense for you as well. So there are various reasons as to why people who can afford the authentic still chose to buy the replica. So reason one was that it just wasn't justified in terms of the price. Number two, they felt as though it was actually safer to wear the fake, in that if it was to get beat up or stolen, it would hurt them less. And number three, they really just couldn't commit to the real deal, investing all that money into that bag until they knew for sure that bag was going to work for them. So they invested into a smaller amount into the replica first to test drive the bag before committing to the real deal. Tell me what you think in the comments section down below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? What's your personal thoughts? Share your stories about if you've been sold a fake under the guise of a real one as well. Now, if you're intrigued by the topic of fake designer handbags, if you didn't already know, ultra rich women, even Asia's richest woman, wore fake bags, and I'll link my video where I talk about it here for you to watch.